How much do you think Florida's partying right now, man? Two 8 seeds, Miami's like on the verge of the NBA Finals, and Florida was in the driver's seat for the NHL Stanley Cup Finals.
Did anyone see Manchester United last year? Like, soccer's my favorite sport. I couldn't watch that team play. Like, I genuinely couldn't watch that team play last year.
Welcome everybody to the BTR podcast.
Before we get started, we just want to thank everyone for 50 subscribers, and we're trying to get 100 by the end of the month. So if you haven't, please subscribe.
As always, our links will be down in the description below for our social media. We have dropped some of our TikTok content and as well as on Instagram Reels, slowly on YouTube Shorts as well. Without further ado, let's get started. NBA, 3-0 series for two.
Both conference finals, 3-0. We'll start off with the Lakers Nuggets. So how are you feeling?
Do we have to talk about this?
Yes, we do.
I'm obviously annoyed, a little choked. Nuggets have surprised me for sure a little bit. Not saying they were not a good team from before. I just thought they weren't going to be this good. And to be honest, I'm looking at social media and just listening to some analysts, and neither did they.
Yeah. Before we get started at recapping games, just want to ask you this: are Jokic and Murray the best duo in the NBA?
I mean, they're playing like it right now in the playoffs. Would I consider them for the whole season? Probably not top 5. But if you're talking about just playoffs, for sure, yeah, the number one.
Yeah, they have to be number one because they're outplaying LeBron and AD, in my opinion. That's why
they are 100%. They are.
They're up 3-0, and they've been better than the other duos. Like they beat Durant and Booker, and they're playing better than Tatum and Brown right now as well.
Yeah. Before we can let you start with the Nuggets, just want to say sorry to the Nuggets fans out there, the Nuggets media. I definitely underestimated this team. They are definitely up there when it comes to the level of the Lakers. They've definitely surprised me for sure.
Yeah, so into the Nuggets, we'll just say Jamal Murray. We'll call him Jamal Murray because he's playing like him right now. Like Mr. Fourth Quarter in the second game and the 30-point half in the first half in game 3 obviously kept Nuggets in the game in the first half as well.
Yeah. Like I said, when we were doing our preview for the series a couple of episodes ago, it was I said the key was Jamal Murray. I knew Jokic was going to do Jokic things, and to be honest, Jokic hasn't been Jokic like game 1 Jokic in these last 2 games, but he was still capable of doing things. Like game 2, for example, Jamal Murray sucked for the first 3 quarters, and there was no surprise that the Lakers were winning even with AD struggling at that time. And then fourth quarter comes and Jamal Murray decides to not miss a shot essentially, except for one.
Yeah, and then he continued that momentum into game 3 with a 30-point half. But the thing about Nuggets, the reason why they won game 2 and 3, in my opinion, is because they made timely buckets, right? They made the clutch points in the fourth quarter while you guys didn't, and then that just led to a 3-0 deficit for you guys.
I mean, the other key thing is like the role players. KCP in game 3 just went off. Like he returns to the Staples Center and just reignited himself. Wasn't like he was hitting timely threes like you said when the Lakers made a comeback or took the lead back. It was definitely a struggle compared to game one. Lakers played like a perfect offense, but their defense was struggling. Game 2 they got better, especially with the rebounding side of things. But their offense struggled a bit. AD struggled on the field. Obviously, still ended up with 18 points, but a lot of that was on the line. But the Nuggets, like you said, like timely possessions, well-coached team, made some stops when they needed to, and Lakers just couldn't buy a 3 after, or even a bucket in general.
Yeah, but like for role players, like your role players are playing well too. Rui Hachimura and Austin Reeves have been good in the series. The
problem with that is they've also been probably our best players on a consistent basis, whereas like LeBron struggled a little bit from shooting side of things, and then AD struggled in game 2, but obviously had a good game 1 and 3. I'm definitely surprised, but the thing with this series also is I'm glad it's not like each game was a blowout. Like every game had a time at the end where either team could have won it until like the Nuggets ran away with it in the fourth quarter. I would say.
There were close games for sure.
There were close games. The 3-0 obviously can be a little deceiving, but at the end of the day, wins matters, and that's what happened here.
Yeah. Ultimately, for me, it just falls on D'Angelo Russell because you guys are a better team when he is scoring the ball, and he hasn't been doing that. So, I just think if he could get like 15 plus points, you will win a game, and it's shown in the postseason that
Well,
when
17 plus.
17 plus,
17 plus. But no, you're
but it's
right.
still the same thing. It doesn't matter.
Um,
You need to score.
yeah. It's time for me, like, the keys for the next game if the Lakers want to avoid getting swept here. Do I think they need to put D'Angelo Russell off the bench? For sure now. I think it's time. I think the defense that Dennis Schroeder brings in will be key for that. Even though Jared Vanderbilt did decent to start off with him, but even like I know last episode you said Rui should be starting. I don't mind Rui coming off the bench. Clearly, he's put the buckets. Jared Vanderbilt's purely in for the defense. But the problem with that is you were hoping D'Angelo Russell would go off on the scoring line of things, or even playmaking, finding players to get easy buckets, which because he is the point guard at the end of the day. But Austin Reeves is more of that right now. So like for me, I think I'm still fine with Jared Vanderbilt starting. But even if you put him off the bench, I don't mind that either for Rui Hachimura because it is desperate times. But Dennis Schroeder, I feel like should be starting, and D'Angelo Russell needs to embrace that sixth man mentality. Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, that's for sure. Like at the end of the day, if you're struggling, you gotta make a change, right? And then Darvin Ham has to make a change.
Yeah,
Just do something because now your season is on the line, right?
I do feel like this is why I struggle with Darvin Ham as the coach. Like it's first year, so I'm not gonna say go fire Darvin Ham. I mean we're in the conference finals for a reason, but he does sometimes even back when with Westbrook and Beverly, especially with Patrick Beverly, he gets like so attached to them playing like the 3 guard lineup, which sucks right now because it worked for the Warriors because they're much smaller. It does not work with this Nuggets team, especially when you see Michael Porter Jr. just shooting over top of Austin Reeves, who's guarding him half the time, or whatever the case is. Jamal Murray's making tough shots over the smaller guys. I mean, to be fair, he also hits some over AD. But I mean, if they want to avoid the sweep, again, I'm still a Laker fan. I hope they come back. Am I delusional? Obviously not, because I do think the Nuggets will take this in 5 eventually. But like obviously, I'm gonna root for the history here to get. There's a chance at history to come 4, and I'm not gonna take that away. I have that small belief, but when it comes to Game 4, the keys have to be them making timely shots and holding. I mean, they did a decent job with Jokic, but like Jamal Murray, who's the reason why they're winning the series 3-0. You know how he started Game 2.
Yeah. Basically, it's like the bubble Murray's back right now. He's fully healed from his ACL tear, so it took him some time. But like he's playing like all-star. He's playing like Bubble Murray, and this Nuggets team is legit. Yeah. Should win, in my opinion.
Do you think it's a sweep, or do you think the Lakers will get one and then gentleman sweep, as they would say in Game 5, and lose at Denver?
I think Lakers will get Game 4.
How much of a chance, in a percentage-wise, do you think LeBron could pull this off? Obviously, I'm not saying just LeBron, but like the Lakers pull this off.
I mean, LeBron was the first ever to come back from a 3-1 in the finals. Yeah. So like, I'm not gonna put it past him, but
he has 38.
Yeah, he has 38, but like
with a bum ankle.
At the end of the day, like he's still LeBron, so I'm still gonna have a little bit of belief. Obviously, I'm not gonna rule him out like
80-20? 80-20? 80% Nuggets win it.
Still a 10% chance maybe.
Oh, so you're giving just max. Lakers a 10?
Yeah, I'm not gonna say
it's fair for sure.
I'm not gonna say it's over because I still like the Lakers team on paper, but at the end of the day, D'Angelo Russell's got to score the ball for the win for me.
I mean, yeah, like, do I want to be a biased fan and say Lakers in 7? Sure. But the way this Nuggets team is playing, that coaching, the cohesiveness of how they're playing this, I can't ignore it. But, you know, for the keys for the Lakers, what do you think are going to be outside of D'Angelo Russell?
It just straight up just outperform. Like LeBron and AD need to be better than Jokic and Murray, in my opinion. And just simple as that, they haven't been better than them in all 3 games.
AD definitely was on par with Jokic. I'm not saying that he was the better guy. I still think Jokic performed a little better than AD. But yeah, you're right. Jamal Murray can't be the second best player in the series. He has to be like the 4th, if you want to say it, out of the 4 of them. The other key is for me, the transition defense is, and like the Lakers defense has been one of the best in the NBA since the trade deadline. But a lot of that is because of the half court defense. This transition defense has been horrible. Like every time, and then you give a guy like Jokic just getting the rebound, and he's no, slouch in passing. We know he's one of the greatest passing big men of all time. So he could just quarterback pass it down the court to whoever is open, whether it be Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., KCP, whoever, right? So the key is can we hold down the transition buckets, and can Darvin Ham not be stubborn with D'Angelo Russell starting? I definitely believe he has to be off the bench for sure for the Lakers to have a chance to
Yeah,
win
and
this
also
game.
credit to the Nuggets because they're always pushing the pace, right? Like, there's a reason why you guys are out of position. One is, yeah, you guys are being a little bit lazy, but two, they're always pushing the pace, which I really liked over all 3 games. So, yeah, so that's why I believe that your transition defense has been bad. So, if I'm the Nuggets, I'm just going to keep pushing the pace, going down the floor as fast as you can, and try to get easy buckets as many times as you can.
Yeah. So your prediction game 4, you're giving it to the Lakers?
Yeah, I'll give it to the Lakers.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, my predictions have been horrible this whole playoffs. You've been right, so I hope you're right in this time. But I mean, I agree. I think the Lakers will come out guns blazing essentially and take this game and hopefully get the game in Denver as well before we come back home for 6. All right, moving on to the other 3-0 in the Eastern Conference. Heat Celtics. Heat take a 3-0 series lead today with a massive W over the Celtics. Um, I guess my question to you is: obviously you're more of a neutral in this because I have some Lakers bias, but as an NBA fan, even though I know you're not a Celtics guy either because of the Raptors, how surprised are you, and are you more disappointed, like as an NBA fan, that like the Celtics aren't making this competitive at times?
Yeah, 100%. I'm disappointed as an NBA fan. And yeah, I would say I'm more biased to the Heat just because of Kyle Lowry as well.
Yeah,
But like one thing that caught my eye is that Jimmy Butler has help,
yeah, no,
which
for
was
sure.
my biggest question mark. And he's been playing well, obviously, but like Gabe Vincent, Caleb Martin, and obviously our big topic was Bam Adebayo, who's
Yeah.
just been aggressive, which we wanted him to be.
Yeah, because like obviously I'm disappointed in the Lakers, but if you take my bias out of that, I think this is a more what disappointing series in terms of the Celtics because the Heat are the 8th seed. I understand they took out the Bucks pretty easily. They took out the
Knicks.
Knicks pretty easily, but they were also a team that almost missed out losing to the Bulls. They already lost to the Hawks in the beginning, and obviously again the same thing I said about the Nuggets. I'm saying it to the Heat. Did not expect this. I thought the Celtics were a much better team for sure. I thought this was gonna be a Jimmy Butler K Reed series, but like you said, a lot of help came. Like for today's game, at the time of this recording, was not a Jimmy Butler Bam game, right? Like I'm gonna pull up the stats.
It was a Gabe Vincent hit some crazy shots. Caleb Martin's been playing well. He did good in game 2, and he did good in game 3. Max Struss has been pretty good as well. So like, just their role players stepped up while the Celtics role players haven't.
If you were to tell me that a game where Jimmy Butler, where is he? Right there, 16 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, shooting 5 for 13 would have won you a game by, was it 30? Yeah, like close to 30 points. You would be like, nah, that's not happening. And
Yeah,
not even just Jimmy. Bam Adebayo him also had 13 points. So it's like the guys, like you said, Gabe Vincent 29 points, right? Caleb Martin 18 points. A guy who was benched during the season, Duncan Robinson dropped 22 points, and it wasn't even just 3-point shooting. I saw him driving to the rack when I was watching the first half a bit there, right? Um, and then on top of that, you got Jimmy's, like obviously Jimmy's leadership. Jimmy draws the attention, but even like Kevin Love started off the first 5 points of the game, and even Max Strus 10 points. But I'm sure, yeah, he struggled shooting, but I'm sure there was still some presence. But yeah, I just I'm very surprised for sure. I thought the Celtics would have had a better game plan for the Heat, and the one thing I guess, like you said about Bam Adebayo, even though this was 13 points, I think last game he never hit the 20s, but he had like 18 or something. You could, if you're watching the game, you could see he's been more aggressive offensively and defensively. Today, I think it was like 2 alley-oop slams that he put out. It was like that was the Bam I wanted to see.
he also broke Jalen Brown's ankles, which is
Yeah,
pretty funny, and a nice slam to finish that off. But the thing is, like, numbers are numbers. Yeah, good to have numbers, but like at the end of the day, if you're doing the eye test, you want to see the player have an impact, and
and
Bam's having an
Bam's
impact.
having that for sure. Like that
Yeah,
was at times in the past you would see Bam would pass up like a Ben Simmons type where he would pass up that shot and give it like kick it out for an even low percentage shot. He's not doing that this time, right? He's following the rebound. I think game 2 at the end he had that that offensive rebound that helped them, right? Um, yeah, it's the Heat blew my expectations. I thought they were gonna barely get 2 wins. They obviously on the verge. Getting 2 on the road on the Celtics at TD Bank is in TD Garden.
TD Garden, yeah.
It's insane, man. Like Jimmy Butler again, game 1 he obviously went nuts, but game 2 obviously when you poke the bear, and which we'll get into on the Celtics side of things in a second, he took that on his back, right? Like today he like, okay, you know what, Gabe Vincent, you're cooking. I'm gonna let you take the reins here. But in that game when they were losing, and then they went on that huge run to close out game 2, he played like Himmy Butler, right? As people want to say it. So yeah, again, like we've said many times before, other than maybe like 1 or 2 players, I've never seen a playoff performer like this. But anything else you want to say about the Heat? Other than being how impressed you were with them?
I'm just so surprised. Like they're playing this well, and like yes, they made it this far, which is already good on them. But like the Celtics team, I just so shocked, like how the Heat role players are actually like gonna help them win the series because the Celtics role players are not doing good well.
Yeah. I guess we go switch over to the Celtics now.
Yeah, let's go to Celtics.
Jaylen Brown's been disappointing. Obviously I missed a bit of the game, the first 2. But just seeing it on the numbers, I'm just watching him play today. Like today, Jason Tatum was not good. I think
no one was 20. Good today, man. You're losing by 30 in the third quarter. Like
yeah, like if you look at the stats today, it was like
you can't.
Their best player was
you can't take
Grant Williams off the bench with
yeah, but you can't take any positive from today's performance.
No, for sure. Like Jaylen Brown definitely 12 points today, 16 the game before. First game he had 22. He's been struggling hitting shots. He's been, struggling just in general. Jason Tatum, massive game 2 today, no show. A lot of the times he is looking for foul calls, but it's the playoffs. He's obviously got to suck it up now. But just watching the Celtics is something, because the reason why I had them winning a lot is like I saw them in that Sixers series to close out game 6 and 7, how they leveled up, right? I guess the tough part is Al Horford I'm not saying he's unplayable, but he doesn't have like that big he needs to guard. Like Bam's a little bit more athletic in my opinion than Joel Embiid is, right?
Yeah.
So he'll run around. He's a little faster, jump higher. Embiid, yes, he's great footwork, but he's not like, you wouldn't classify him as like a super athletic guy. So I'm not sure how he's doing on the defensive end. But the key takeaway for me is how Joe Mazzulla is coaching this game to Eric Spoelstra. There's a reason why Eric Spoelstra is probably considered a top 5 coach all time, maybe. Just in adjustments, and maybe like people are arguing that when Jason Tatum was going off in that game too, he started doubling them, right? He started forcing Jaylen Brown, who couldn't take off that pressure, Marcus Smart, Malcolm Brogdon, and all these guys. But he never did that with Jimmy Butler, right? And that's until like I think it was already a 20-point game until this game.
Like so, Joe Mazzulla didn't double team Jimmy Butler. Which is like, I don't understand how you
until this game. Like
how do you not do that? Like,
and then on top of that, like, okay, I was listening to the pregame show. Reggie Miller was saying like, yes, Grant Williams poked the bear, but he's the only one showing energy out there at least, right? Like he is in Jimmy Butler's face. Yeah, it's a stupid thing to do because it's Jimmy Butler, and Jimmy Butler was just laughing. But yeah, you should not poke the bear, but the fact that you still let Grant Williams single coverage Jimmy Butler, and he was cooking him in that fourth quarter, the last like 5-6 minutes to go, and you still wouldn't double him, and you still wouldn't take him out till you blew the lead, was mind-boggling to me.
So like my point for this is like, we credit coaches for like, doing these crazy adjustments that we like unexpect and they actually work, right?
Yeah.
But like the way they get criticized like is because they do the most like obvious things. This is like, we don't know the ins and outs. We don't know the X's and O's, but we know it's obvious that like if their best player in Jimmy Butler is going off, all-star, potential Hall of Famer, you double team him, all right? You can't let him go one-on-one and let him cook you. It's just simple as that. Like, this is common sense, not to all of us, all right? Like, yes, there's X and O's, we don't know, right? I don't know what the X's and O's are saying, but like common sense is saying double team Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, you will live with a Gabe Vincent game if Jimmy Butler doesn't get you going. I mean, yeah, like at times it's tough. Would you rather have Jimmy go for 50, but everybody else locked down? Well, it doesn't matter if he's gonna keep hitting his shots at that stage of the game, especially, right? But here's my question to you: Ime Udoka coached this team to the finals last year. Started off 2-0, I think, against the Warriors, and obviously ended up losing to the Warriors in 6. Do you think Joe Mazzulla, obviously young coach, I think he's in his 30s if I'm not mistaken, was it premature to give him that full-time duty and not give Ime Udoka like a chance to come back? Like, do you think Mazzulla should have had the full-time duty based on what the regular season was?
I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like they just wanted to get away from the drama. So yeah, maybe they did rush a decision, but like Joe Mazzulla did get him past a 7-game series, right?
Yeah.
So like he's shown some potential, obviously.
I mean,
still in the conference finals.
but here's the thing, right? He's a young guy. Even if Udoka wasn't the guy to come back, obviously hindsight being 2020, because obviously they made him full-time near the end of the regular season. Nick Nurse is available. Monty Williams is available. Heck, if you want to bring Doc Rivers back, which I don't think it would be the right fit anyways, but these guys are made available, right? Mike Budenholzer. But I guess to your point, yeah, he did come back from the come back 3-2 against the Sixers in 7. And he obviously knew the system well because he was the assistant there.
Yeah, there's no coaching change needed. Joe Mazzulla has done well. First year head coach, obviously you're gonna learn.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying fire him.
Yeah.
I'm just saying like they had the opportunity to still keep him interim until Udoka was able to come back.
Yeah, but like at the end of the day, if you're like having that good of a regular season, you made it to the conference finals, right? The results shown that like he is capable, and like at the end of the day, you gotta learn, right? Darvin Ham needs to learn. He needs to learn. First year head coaches. 100%. So like at the end of the day, like it's not like it's a bad season, but at the end of like the expectation,
the way they're going out is bad.
The expectation is obviously final because the Bucks are out, but like the way they're like going out is really bad. At the end of the day, if they get swept, that's pretty embarrassing in my opinion.
Pathetic performance. Before I ask you this question, the Heat role players, a lot of them are either late picks or undrafted picks, right? Let's just say you were an undrafted player or a late second round player. Is it just automatically, like if you're undrafted especially, that I hope the Heat call me, I hope the Raptors call me, or even the Lakers with how they developed Austin Reeves, Alex Caruso, even Talen Horton-Tucker back then? Like, is that like an automatic hope the 3 guys call you? I mean, the way they find these undrafted players and develop them is like insane to me.
It is insane. At the end of the day, like Gabe Vincent undrafted, Duncan Robinson was like a D3 player, I believe.
Yeah. And
he performed well in his first year, obviously struggled, and showing up in the right time right now as well.
Caleb Martin was out the league.
Cody
Zeller was the biggest one. Like, he's getting playoff minutes, and he had no job after leaving. I think it was Portland. He ended up being his last team.
I mean, like, it's just good scouting, good developing, like.
And the injuries, just no Tyler Hero as their second scorer. Yeah. I guess final question before we wrap this up. If before you want to close out with just the Heat Celtics quickly.
Celtics is embarrassing. It's pathetic, and I'm enjoying it.
Okay, so here's my question to you. Obviously, both the conference finals are at 3-0, right? Heat up 3-0, Nuggets up 3-0. More surprising end is the Heat. If you were to put money on the line right now, who comes back from? Obviously, I think both of them are done at least in 5. Do you think, 2 questions? 1, which one is more likely to sweep? And 2, which one's the more likely to come back from the 3-0?
I'm going with the Lakers to come back with 3-0. Reason being, 1, I still, like, LeBron's done it, right? Like, I still have the belief in him.
But the problem with that is 38 years old.
Yeah, I know, but like, at the end of the day, he's done it, right?
The leadership,
Celtics, like, LeBron's there. Like, the Celtics, to me, look like they're out of it. The Lakers are at least like putting up fights,
Mazzulla did say, sorry to cut you off there. Mazzulla did say, I think I saw a report before we started recording, that he did kind of lose the locker room a little bit.
Yeah,
which is weird to say at this time.
Yeah, that's just unacceptable at this point on the Celtics part. And also another point is that like the toughest game to win when you're doing a reverse sweep is the first game, and the first game is on Lakers home court. And Lakers home court, they only lost 1 game at home, which was last game. So like. Once you get 1 game, you start feeling yourself a little bit, and the Lakers have the advantage of being at home doing it. So that's why I also believe that the Lakers also won't get swept either. So that's why if they could get 1 game rolling, maybe if D'Angelo Russell could get rolling, they could pull it off. But like, I don't see it happening for any team.
As for the sweep, I'm guessing you said the Celtics?
I'm going with the Celtics, yeah.
Because it's mainly because Miami's home. And
Miami's home, and just Celtics just look defeated.
Yeah, I mean, I I hope you're right about the Lakers, but I do agree with that. I honestly, the whole logic you said there, I 100% agree. I can't deny what you said. Um, Mainly because of the home court side of things as well. Because it's obviously the Lakers being down 2-0 originally was like how you experienced as a Raptor fan. As clearly you're wearing the shirt, right? We saw it with the Kings earlier and the Warriors that they had the potential to tie the series back up. Obviously, it did not happen. The Heat were up away, so yeah, I guess I agree with you. I think the more likely sweep, which will be the more disappointing result, is the Celtics, and yeah, Lakers will come back from 4-3 if possible. But I guess ultimately, final predictions from both sides. I think the Lakers will be done in 5. And I guess you're saying sweep.
I'm saying Heat will finish the job, and I'll say Lakers lose in 5.
Moving on from one South Florida 8th seed from the NBA to now the NHL, who also has an 8th seed from South Florida. The Florida Panthers are up 2-0 against the Carolina Hurricanes in the NHL Eastern Conference Finals for the Eastern Conference. Um, 2 overtime wins, the first one being 4 OTs in game 1. Almost 5 if Kachuk did not. If Kachuk.
Yeah, there was like 30 seconds left, I believe.
No, less than that. I think it was 12.
Actually?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And then the second game, which happened yesterday, was another overtime win. The NHL playoffs, in terms of drama, have been better than the NBA.
They've
in terms
always
of the,
been better.
In terms of the Eastern Conference, in terms of the conference final. Sorry.
They've been better in general the past few years.
I feel like the second round NBA was, but anyways, enough about that. But yeah, Florida, 2 overtime wins. Kachuk scoring both overtime winners. The first one, we were watching it in my room. Our cousin came over and we're just like, okay, end this now. Like we were tired. We had stuff to do. Let's just talk about the overtime quickly in the 4 overtime game. Kachuk was quiet for most of that game. I
was
thought,
quiet the
because
whole
when I
game.
was watching it or listening on the radio, and then obviously it came out of nowhere in the overtime.
He's clutch, I guess. Like he's turned up at the right time when his team needed him most. But it was a good game, good goalie battle too. Freddie Anderson and Sergei Bobrovsky both making
Especially in
50,
overtime.
50 plus saves, 60 plus saves, I believe Bobrovsky had. So the fact that Kachuk was able to finish it off was actually good because I saw half the team celebrate with Kachuk, half the team go to Bobrovsky, which was well deserved.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love the goalie battle. Right, like so that's no question mark for me anymore.
Carolina was definitely dominating early on, so Bobrovsky had to be big.
Yeah, 100%. And then that is one of the keys for Florida winning. And yeah, Kachuk showed up in the right time, both games as well. But another key factor for Florida is Alexander Barkov, who scored in both games as well.
That was a nice goal in that game too.
Yeah, game 2 was such a nice goal. The fake through the legs, then bring it back and just backhand it in.
What a time to do it. They were down 1-0 in that game as well, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
And they were down 1-0. Jalen Chatfield got the first goal for the Canes, and then Barkov with the goal, and Kachuk again in game 2.
Beauty goal again.
Another beauty goal, good team goal. Power play too. So I think it was a poor penalty. No. So it was a penalty that saved the game. Like Kotkaniemi had to do it because he had bad body position. Otherwise, the game would have finished in regular play.
Yeah.
Like not in regular time, like just normal 5-on-5 play.
Yeah.
So he took the penalty, saved the goal, but then they scored on that power play, and then just a great team goal.
The guy who continues to impress me, I didn't know much of him before this series, before the playoffs started, Carter Verhaeghe. Even like when I'm coming back and I'm listening to on the radio, I just hear Carter Verhaeghe.
He's just so involved, which is like so impactful for Florida Panthers.
Yeah, it was definitely disappointing overall. Like if Florida did not make the playoffs, because you think of the rosters they have in Matthew Tkachuk leading the way, Alexander Barkov, now Bobrovsky stepped up, and on top of that you got the Sams, both Bennett and Reinhart also in contributing. Brandon Montour in the back end, so Ekblad as well.
Ekblad, yeah.
So yeah, no, I definitely did not expect this from Florida like that. But looking back at it, I was just giving Carolina the edge. I guess we'll flip over to Carolina now. That I guess the injuries are finally catching up to them, and they can't match Florida's speed and skill in that sense.
No, Carolina's issue, like, yes, okay, that could be a thing, but like I completely disagree because Carolina's issue is find a way to score because Bobrovsky's just shutting the door. Like they've had chances, right?
Yeah,
so the series is far from over. Like 2 overtime wins. Yes, I know you lost on home ice.
That's what I say.
at the end of the day, like I don't think that matters because like Carolina's been good on the road this playoff series, like this playoff postseason, and two very close games, tight
I mean,
games.
overtime, yeah.
You can't really differentiate between the both teams right now that much, other than Florida having that extra edge in overtime.
The problem with me is like I get it. You're going that Rangers Devils route where the Devils reverse home swept in a way. I think Florida will split this. They're at their home, but I agree with you. It's been close games. Anything could have happened, but the way Bobrovsky is playing, it reminds me of that Washington run when they started Grubauer then, and then Hopi just carried the way in net for them. This is what I feel like this Florida team is. Um, I mean, I will stick with. I don't know if I should stick with my original pick in Carolina, but I think Florida might be able to edge this. I don't think it's a sweep. I feel like this could
No,
be.
it can't be a sweep.
So you're pretty much. Are you confident in Carolina winning the two?
I'm not confident in Carolina winning two because at the end of the day, if there's like games suggest, they could lose another one in overtime, right?
Yeah.
But I went with Florida with 6. I believe I said it on the one of the earlier episodes. So I'm gonna stick with that.
I mean, yeah, you shouldn't get off
I'm not gonna
that.
trade. But like Carolina's far from done. They're far from done.
Yeah, it's tough for sure. But my question, I have a question about overtimes with you. Me and you always talk like NHL overtimes are fun, but now we're experiencing the long overtimes. You still enjoy the long overtimes, or do you prefer it to be done after like max
Yeah,
two?
like it's good to have like one or two like that, but at the end of the day, like overtime is good because it's good and bad. The
Keeps you in
good,
the edge of your seat.
yeah, it keeps you in the edge of the seat. One goal finishes all. Like if you're a fan of the team, like it's probably the biggest stress you're ever gonna have in your life. And then the good is because like they want to score, right? So they're gonna keep on shooting the puck. So there's gonna be chances. The bad is that like
The level drops.
it's not the level, it's just the risk taking drops,
Yeah.
right? Like at the end of the day, you know, take some risk to score goals, right? Make some plays, keep the puck in your own end, like
It.
pass it around your own net a little bit to progress
I guess because
in
it's
the ice.
game one. I guess obviously you can't say every game matters, right? But it's like the stakes weren't as high as it would have been like an elimination game, in
Well, yeah,
my
hundred
opinion.
percent. But like,
Right? It was funny, like a funny story. I think when BX and the Canucks played Dallas back in '07, BX shared this on the panel. He's like, Mike Badano at one point was like, just somebody score already, right? So I feel like at times, like obviously the players know they have to play this, but at the same time, even as fans, like we're tired as well. So it's, but yeah, no, I agree with you in that sense. Like I would prefer it to end in two, but sometimes it depends on the day you have. It's like I want to see more, just especially you want us to be at the edge of your seat, especially if it's not your team.
yeah, right? Because like that day, we're like, you know, our cousin came over, so like, yeah, just chill with him, right?
Yeah.
But then the game was on. We're like, shit, the game's going on, right? Like we're trying to finish the game, obviously, because we want to watch the goal. But at the end, same time, we're like, yo, I want to do some other things instead
Yeah.
of just sit here and watch the game. So
That
yeah,
that being said, how do you think this homestand will go for Florida?
I think it will be a split in my opinion, and I think Carolina will get game 3. I think it will be obviously Freddie Anderson will be back in net because Antti Ranta went in game 2 and he did well, and it's understandable why, because you know, long overtime game, a
And if
little
Freddie
bit
Anderson
rest,
has injury history.
injury history, and also a 50 plus save performance
Yeah.
as well. So like, get the rest. Yeah, Antti Ranta didn't even do bad in that game, right? The goalie battle was still good, 2-1 game obviously.
Yeah.
So like, Freddie Anderson will be back, and I feel like Freddie Anderson will steal the game. Like he'll keep it. He'll put that doubt in Florida Panthers' minds,
I
forwards, to like, oh, how can I score on this dude? Like how Bobrovsky has done with the Carolina forwards.
I think it's gonna be the same way it went in Toronto. I think Florida will edge out game three, but I think they'll choke game four, and then they will bring a little panic because at the end of the day, like you said, Carolina might be far from over even if it's 3-0. I still think it'll be tough. But yeah, I agree it will be the split, and then we'll see what happens at Carolina. But moving on to the Western Conference, Dallas versus Vegas, also two overtime games. Well, and the funny part is, from the 4 overtime, almost 5, it went to like 2 minutes for the rest of the overtimes that happened.
Yeah.
We'll talk about now with Vegas and Dallas.
So yeah, Vegas ended both games, game 1 and in game 2 today, within like 3 minutes, I believe, even lesser time.
Yeah.
And then obviously Florida's game 2 was less than 2 minutes, and then you have the 4 overtime, where Florida and Carolina played like 2 games. Yeah, but so Vegas game one, Vegas was in control. Like Vegas had the game in control until Dallas went up 1-0 because of a just a little bad turnover by Vegas, and then that's where Jason Robertson got his first goal,
Yeah, he finally came into the series.
and now he's alive because he also got a goal today.
Yeah,
And today's game, which is funny because Dallas was a better team,
yeah, I
and
agree with that.
then they had more shots, but then they did the bad turnover at the end of the game, which caused it to go to overtime, and then once it's in overtime, anything could happen.
Yeah, Jason Robertson was definitely getting carried in these playoffs more, right, by Rupe Hentz and then Joe Pavelski. This time he stepped up, scored the two big goals to tie it last game, I believe, and then take the lead this game.
No, he scored one goal. Jamie Benn scored on the goal to
Okay,
tie it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Watching it was like when I was watching this game, I didn't know what to take out of it. It was just like back and forth as well. Like yeah, I felt like Vegas dominated game one, like you said, and Dallas more so this game. I thought Dallas had it, and then boom, they let it in late, right? I just don't know what to take away. Like I had Dallas in 6, I think, or 7, but this one, like obviously Vegas was home, so it's 2-0 for Vegas as well. I think the way these games are going, similar to the Eastern side, I think Dallas could easily win the 2 at home as well and make it a
Yeah, it's
series.
far from over for sure. Uh, at the end of the day, as long as Ottinger is playing well, they always have a
Yeah,
chance, in my opinion. And he's played well in this series.
yeah.
As long as Aiden Hill, he's played well too.
He's played well, but Vegas is also helping a lot defensively. Like obviously again, Mark Stone. I don't know how he's doing it with the multiple back surgeries. He's been doing well. Jonathan Marchessault's made a name again, as well. So it's going well. It's gonna be. I feel like this could be a 7 gamer, assuming Vegas does not split the home. But even then, like, but I have a feeling Dallas wins 2 in Dallas.
Yeah, they have
That's
to.
my
Like they're
prediction
desperate
essentially.
now, right? Like
Yeah,
they're not out of it because they lost 2 road games, right? So like they didn't do their job because the mission is to always win at least one away game.
yeah,
But like they didn't lose anything because you lost 2 away games, right? You
yeah.
still have your 2 home ice games. They perform better on home ice than playing away this postseason as well. So at the end of the day, if the series is like how it's going right now, I believe Dallas will win game 3 and game 4. So I agree with you with that. So I just think that Vegas is just, they have control all four, like they're in control like a lot of the games because like all 4 lines are just, they're going.
Yeah.
They have them all 4 going. And then yeah, Dallas has them going too, but like Dallas's first line, which is probably one of the best first lines this season with Pavelski, Robertson, and Hintz, they just they gotta find a way to like pack in some points
Yeah.
these next 2 games, right? They're
Yeah.
gonna be the key for Dallas to win this game because I believe Ottinger will show up these next 2 games and Ottinger will give him like a vintage performance to win.
You're predicting what he did against Calgary last year.
Yes, for both of these games. So it's just up to those 3 players and also the other forwards just to put in some goals because it is Aiden Hill in net. So I feel like Aiden Hill will have one bad game, and I feel like Dallas will destroy one game.
Yeah.
I feel like the other game it will be a tight Dallas victory.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess close it out here. Let's go back to the Florida side of things. How much do you think Florida's partying right now, man? 2 8 seeds, Miami's like on the verge of the NBA Finals, and Florida is in the driver's seat for the NHL Stanley Cup Finals. How bad do you want to be them right now?
I mean, like I'm liking it because like I'm going for them because
The underdog
Miami,
story.
one is underdog story. I love going for, everyone loves rooting for underdog story. But Miami has Kyle Lowry, obviously Raptor ties. Florida has Luongo in the front office, Canucks ties. So like, it'll be fun for them, for me personally, to see those two win again, or Luongo's case win for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, hey, any trophy, any cup is a cup. It sucks
Yeah.
that it wasn't with the Canucks, but yeah, definitely would love to be a Florida fan right now for sure. Not a bad time. Moving on to some quick fire topics from the weekend, we definitely got some big news in the NHL side, so we'll start off with that. The Calgary Flames have officially announced their GM, Craig Conroy. Not sure, do you remember him?
I don't remember him.
He played for Calgary for quite a bit. As a player, he was their assistant GM for 9 years, and now he'll be officially, based on the news this morning, replacing Brad Treliving. And yeah, so we'll see how he runs that because obviously there's some bad contracts there.
Yeah. like at the end of the day, 9 years assistant GM, excited for him finally get his opportunity to take control over a team. So that'll be just exciting to see.
Yeah. And then speaking of Brad Living, he's linked to a Toronto job because Kyle Dubas has been officially let go by the Toronto Maple Leafs. He was obviously out of, I believe, out of contract and obviously a big name for the openings. Calgary was one of them, but that being taken, it was Pittsburgh was the biggest one on the top of my head that has an opening right now. Philadelphia announced their Poho, but yeah, Kyle Dubas, last one we heard of him was the exit interview, and he did say like, if I'm not GMing Toronto, I'm not GMing anywhere. So let's see if he's true to his word or will money talk.
Yeah, like if I'm looking at pure like hockey, he definitely deserves a job for sure. Like yes, playoff success hasn't been there, but like he created the roster like pretty well, where like they were a consistent playoff team, and like this year especially with the Ryan O'Reilly trade, he addressed his like the holes. Like he needed a player like Ryan O'Reilly, right? He added defensive trades as well.
Luke Shen.
Yeah, Luke Shen, like for example, and he made the moves that needed to be made. It just like ultimately didn't obviously work out for them.
I don't blame him. That only thing I blame on him was the goalie situation, but that wasn't a key thing this year. But yeah, I guess we'll see if he gets a job or not. How long will it take? Moving on, some sad news broke out in the NFL on May 18. Legendary running back, fullback, Jim Brown passed away at the age of 87. We obviously don't know much about him. We just heard stories of how he's a legend around the league. Known for his time with the Cleveland Browns, I think he played his whole career there. He was a civil rights activist, so he was part of those conversations with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, that classic picture, Bill Russell, regarding the Muhammad Ali stuff. He was a one-time Super Bowl champ and also a three-time MVP. So rest in peace to a legend, and condolences to the NFL family and his family and friends as well. Tough transition, but moving on, we had some big boxing fights on the weekend. We obviously made a prediction on this one, but Devin Haney versus Vasily Lomachenko happened, and entertaining fight, right?
Very good fight. Very good fight.
Usually when you see two technical fighters and stuff, it might be boring because like they're really good at their craft. But 12 rounds. Ultimately it was a unanimous decision for Haney. But we were at the edge of our seats, right? That fight was very close.
It was very close. Like for me, I believe Vasily Lomachenko won that fight because the rounds that each fighter won, right? It was hard. Like you could have said this round could have went either or for a lot of them, except round 10 and round 11, where it was clear Lomachenko. Lomachenko just absolutely destroyed Haney. I felt like Haney was wobbling a little bit in the 10th and 11th round as well. So like Lomachenko still has it, which is good.
Yeah, because people were questioning, oh, he's old, 35 or whatever he is
Yeah.
now. Clearly, he looked like the younger fighter. I guess I slightly disagree in this sense. Like, I wouldn't have been mad if Lomachenko won or Haney won, or even if it was a draw, because that's how close it was. But at the end of the day, he dominated those two rounds, 10-9 rounds, right? The early fight rounds that happened, round 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yes, it could have went either way. So that's why the judge that gave it 116, 112, I think that was BS. I think it should have been 115, 113 or a draw. I definitely thought this should have been a draw. But Lomachenko is appealing this decision. I don't know if it will work for him because it's that close of a fight. I don't think it was
Yeah.
like some obvious overturn that could happen.
Yeah, it's not like it was a robbery, right? Like I don't say it's robbery, but
Because it was
like,
close.
but for me, like I disagree with you. Like for me, Lomachenko was the winner. Like
I guess for me, because like Haney's the champ, did Lomachenko do enough overall each round to take the belts away? Either way, like I'm just glad we had I had no stake in this. Got an entertaining fight. Lomachenko proved that he could still fight. So let's see what happens. Haney's rumored to move up in weight. They might rematch. I don't know. But there's another fight that I watched. You didn't. It was a women's boxing. Katie Taylor versus Chantel Cameron. This was originally supposed to be Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano. And you watched that first fight.
yeah, that
and it was
first
a
fight was
hectic
really
fight.
good. Yeah.
I think Serrano had to pull out from injury. But this fight was very good as well. Like it was a lot of back and forth. Chantel Cameron ultimately won the fight, giving Katie Taylor her first loss, but Katie Taylor moved up in weight to challenge, so I don't think she doesn't lose her belts. So we'll see. She said rematch instantly, but I hope if it is a rematch, Classic again. Hopefully it works out, and eventually the Taylor Serrano rematch happens. Moving on to another women's news, WNBA has officially started. Yes, we know that there are not many fans that watch around this, but at time to time I do catch a game here and there. But the biggest news out of the WNBA, we have to bring this up, is Brittany Griner is back in the W. She obviously, like everybody knows, spent time in Russia in jail because of she was convicted for possession of like a medical oil thing. But uh, and the other thing I'm looking at is that big three in New York: Sabrina Ionescu, Jonquel Jones, and Brianna Stewart. Any comments on the W?
Yeah, just good to see Brittany Griner back. She also had a pretty good performance first game back as well, which was nice to see. And yeah, the New York Liberty team is probably for me my favorite, is because like Brianna Stewart is the best player in the WNBA for me, and it's good. It'll be fun to watch them, and obviously the Vegas Aces,
Yeah,
the reigning
yeah.
champions
Asia,
as
like
well.
you said, Brianna. I think Asia might be the best, but it's close for me. But anyways, last thing before we close out the quickfire topics. Last time we talked about the Champions League final, it was set. A day later, the day we released our podcast, the UEFA Europa League is set, as well as the Conference League. So the Europa League, no surprise, Sevilla's back.
Yeah,
Struggling in La Liga, beat teams like Juventus, Man United along the way. With Juventus, they ended up winning in extra time to take the edge. And Roma ended up beating Bayer Leverkusen
Leverkusen. Yeah,
with that early favorite. Are you going to just go with Sevilla because good old faithful?
it's a Sevilla league. It's UEFA Sevilla championships. All right, like the final is this, who has the right to face Sevilla, and Roma has a right, but Roma also has Mourinho. Roma also had a pretty decent season as well,
Yeah.
and yeah, it'll be a good fight.
And
Good not fight, like good match. It'll be a fun watch for sure.
um, to the Conference League, the final is ironically the only team that beat Sevilla in the Europa League. West Ham is in the final for Conference League, and they'll be taking on Fiorentina. So
Yeah,
I didn't watch much of Fiorentina. Obviously, we watched West Ham in the Premier League a little bit this year. So definitely we'll see what happens with that. And the final thing is the Bundesliga title race is coming to the final day. So Bayern Munich have choked. They lost to Red Bull
Leipzig,
Leipzig 3-1, I believe. And now they're, I think, 3 points behind.
2 points behind, I
Two
believe.
points behind. And Dortmund have the driver's seat. Essentially, if they win or a Bayern loss, they win it. And a fun fact, Marco Reus, who's been Mr. Loyal, will get his first Bundesliga title.
Yeah, you'll. I'd love to see Marco Reus obviously get his title. Yeah, Byron pretty choked it a lot, but Dortmund's in the driver's seat, so it's good on them. And then it's yeah, just up to Dortmund to get it done. Like Bayern got the loss, Dortmund won this weekend. I believe it was 2-0. I'm not sure what the score was, but like they won, they got the 3 points, 2 points ahead of Bayern now. So one more win closes it, and good to see Royce lift his trophy.
Yeah, it's like, so like you said, the projection just win and champions. If they tie and Byron win, they're out because of goal difference. So essentially, the safe side is just win. Um, just one last comment on Byron before we move on to the next thing is they fired Nagelsmann and then to try to win a treble with Tuchel, and they end up getting out of the DFB Pokal. They get destroyed in the Champions League by City, and now they potentially will choke the league as well. So
It was just, I guess, the beginning of the downfall.
moving on to the final thing, continuing the footy talk, the Premier League. The champions have officially been crowned. Manchester City have officially won the league after Arsenal lost on Saturday. And City, it didn't matter, but City ended up still winning by beating Chelsea 1-0. Your first thoughts?
I mean, first thoughts, congrats, City. 3 in a row now. I believe
Yeah,
that's 5 in 6 years. So, I mean, City always have this late run where they come back and win the title. But Arsenal fans, I'm not gonna say it's a disappointing season. Obviously, it's not. You're in the top four, and your expectation was top four, right? It wasn't title at all. But like, you cannot come away like saying that, oh, nothing happened, because at the end of the day, it was a missed opportunity.
for sure.
93% of the season you were first place and not pulling it off. It's it hurts if you're a fan of Arsenal for sure. Like you can't say nothing happened, right? Like you can't say, oh, we'll be back next year. I mean, you could say we'll be back next year, but you can't say like this is not painful because like they are the youngest team in the PL, so they definitely will be back. The experience, definitely lack of experience, definitely got to them because
And their lack of depth, personally, a little bit.
yeah,
Because
and then
Saliba got
that's
hurt.
where City just went on their run and Arsenal lost it.
Yeah, no, pretty much what you said. I predicted City was gonna win the league even when Arsenal was first place. Did not expect Arsenal to be second. So if you're talking about as a season, Arsenal had a successful season. There's no denying that. But it's exactly what you said. They were there, right? 93% of the season is a stat we saw. That they were first place at one point. I think 5 or 8 points clear. I'm not sure how it was with the games in hand. And Arsenal did get knocked out early in some of the tournaments as well, and whereas City was still playing, they're in the Champions League final, they're in the FA Cup final. So yeah, a missed opportunity. Next, like you could always say there's always next year, but you can't guarantee that, right? Because is Man City gonna get worse? No. Hopefully Man United is propels in the summer. Liverpool, I don't see them being like this. As bad as Chelsea and Tottenham were this year, I don't see them being this bad. Yes, do I think Arsenal's gonna be bad? No. They're still gonna be a top four contender, title contender, especially if they take away what they've done this year. So, but overall, yeah, successful season, but disappointing ending because they easily could have been titles
Yeah, so like one point I want to
holders.
make is like it's a clear it's missed opportunity. Everyone agrees on that. But like there was an expectation at the beginning of the season for Arsenal. All right, top four is the expectation. But like as the season went on, the expectation became title. So that's where you could
Yeah,
add in this disappointment factor in there. I'm not going to classify this season as disappointment at all, but it's definitely heartbreaking if you're a fan of Arsenal.
yeah. Hey, I don't care, but like obviously just as an outside looking in, if they had won it, City was disappointing for not winning it with the squad they have, and I didn't want to hear no Champions League final excuse. But clearly, City flipped the switch. Someone who I've criticized a lot was Jack Grealish. He stepped up massively after the World Cup, especially like prior to the World Cup and last season, he was hurt, not living up to that price tag. And so far, he's now their main starting winger over Foden. So yeah, congrats City. Arsenal successful season, disappointing ending, disappointing results throughout the way. But it is what it is. City've done it before to Liverpool. So yeah. Any comments about the title?
Yeah, I
No.
guess just like it's gonna be an exciting race next year, in my opinion, for the title
Yeah.
because like Arsenal shown they could do it, like compete with City.
Yeah.
City is obviously City. Liverpool shown that they could compete with City, just the off year for them,
Yeah.
and then hopefully Manchester United, our team could add some pieces in to
Yeah.
be in that race as well.
Speaking of Manchester United, moving on, top four battle right now is third and fourth are Man United, and at fourth Newcastle, surprise team of the year for sure. At third at 69 points. Um, Newcastle having the higher goal difference. Liverpool at fifth. So that's the battle for the top four right now. Liverpool disappointing result on the weekend. Got luck. Not I wouldn't say lucky. Got the late goal by Roberto Firmino to at least get a point, but to at least have a slim chance. But with Man United and Newcastle having two games in hand, like a game in hand, but two games remaining, it'll be disappointing for either team, especially as a Man United fan. I'll be pissed that we can't get 1 point in the next two games,
Yeah, you only need
especially at home for Man
one
United.
point, 2 games. Like it's it should be over,
Yeah,
right? Like it should be over. I'm not gonna say like too much like about it because at the end of the day, Newcastle and Man United have been good this year, right? So like they're capable of getting 1 point in 2 games. So like
yeah.
I'm not gonna.
So if you just want to know what the schedule remaining is, Man United play Chelsea on Thursday, and then they close off against Fulham. Both of them are at home. Newcastle play today at the time this is out against Leicester, who are desperate because they are in a relegation battle, which we'll get into. And their final game, I believe, is against Chelsea. So um, obviously can't count Chelsea out too much, but again they had a dreadful year. But and then Liverpool close out the year against Southampton, who have nothing to play for. So I project Southampton to to lose, so Liverpool to win. But yeah, no. As you were saying, disappointing if both Newcastle
It's
and United don't
it's
get
one
it.
point in two games. Like, come on, like you gotta get it done at
Yeah,
this point now. Like you
and
have it in the bag now.
and that being said, as of if we're projecting this, you're projecting Man United, Newcastle to get the third and fourth spot,
100%.
and then Liverpool will stay fifth. So moving on to the European spots, unless you have anything else to add.
No, moving on will be like Liverpool fifth, and now Brighton will be sixth,
Yeah,
most likely.
they're sixth, locked. Even with the goal difference, they're locked because at Villa, who are seventh, um, are like 16 goals away, so it has to be massive both ways. So as of right now, it seems like Liverpool and Brighton should be the Europa League candidates, um, which means the seventh seed is open, which is the Conference League, right? And right now it's occupied by Aston Villa, and they're 1 point ahead of Tottenham, who are at eighth, and they're 2 point ahead of Brentford, who are ninth. So, and then after that, it's closed off. So pretty much each of them have a game. Villa win, they're in. Tottenham win, or draw. Not sure about the math there, but Tottenham has to win. Brentford have to win, and Villa have to lose to have a chance. For Brentford, obviously, both of them ahead of them have to lose. The thing is, Brentford plays City. Now they're already won the title. They rested their players today against Chelsea. They still won, so we can't count that team out with Pep coaching that team. Um, Tottenham's last game is against Leeds, who are desperate themselves. So this is going to be a good matchup because Leeds, which we'll get into the relegation battle, are in it. And Brighton, last game is against Villa.
Yeah, but like
Sorry,
that.
not Brighton. Villa is against Brighton.
Yeah,
So Brighton are locked at six, not too much to play for, but you still want to go out with pride.
yeah. I think Aston Villa will pull it off. Unai Emery really changed the club around
Yeah,
once he got hired. So I mean, they went on a big streak because they were in the relegation battle before.
yeah.
So now that you have a fighting for a European spot is actually like really good, and they are a good team as well. Like Ollie Watkins, striker, obviously. Emi Martinez is in net. So like, I trust them to get the job done.
Yeah. So I agree. I hope Villa for the sake, because like Ashley Young connection with United, but not even just that. Tottenham being more of a rival, in my opinion. So it would be fun to make fun of Tottenham fans, even though they have nothing. They had no trophies anyway, so it doesn't matter. But I guess last thing before we get into the final, the awards, the relegation battle.
Yeah. So right now there's Southampton's done,
They're
20th
official.
place.
Yep.
Uh, there's three teams. Two of them will get relegated, and those three teams are Leicester, Leeds, and Everton. Everton is right now safe, I believe.
33. Yep. They're
They're
safe at
two
minus
points.
24
They're 2 points ahead,
of Leeds, who are at 31,
and then Leicester has 2 games in hand.
which is
I mean,
against
2 games left, not 2 games in hand. 1 game in hand.
which is
1-2-2.
against Newcastle at the time of this recording today. At the time of the release of this podcast today. Um, yeah, it's weird to see Leicester this low after winning it all, but obviously rosters completely different, managers are different. Leeds brought in Sam Allardyce, I believe, Big Sam. So not sure, but they got a tough test because they're playing Tottenham, who are fighting for European battle, and Everton. Let me just check who they're playing quickly. Bournemouth, and they have literally nothing to play for. They're in and out, they're already up.
And then the team above Everton was Nottingham, who beat Arsenal. So with that victory, Nottingham is secured safety.
Secured it. So if you were to see, I mean, it's a great week to look ahead because next week will be a fun week to recap the season. Who are the two teams getting relegated in your opinion?
I think Everton will get the job done. I believe they're also playing the team that has nothing to play for. I'm not saying they're gonna win because Bournemouth has been on a good run,
They
just
gave
to
us
get
some trouble on the weekend.
to avoid a relegation. So I believe that Leeds and Leicester have the tougher opponents, with Tottenham, who has something to play for, and Newcastle, who has something to play for as well. So that's why I would say Everton. I would just say I feel like all three teams might just lose.
True. Yeah. I mean, who knows
Yeah.
what could happen? Draw, loss. Everton, obviously, they control their destiny here. So we'll see. It's going to be a fun week ahead for sure. Can't wait to come back next week to talk about it. But before we can go on to the last topic again, sorry, I just have a quick question for you. I've seen this debate recently after City won the title. Pep Guardiola versus Jose Mourinho, right? Jose is leading Roma last year Conference League champions. Now try to dethrone Sevilla to become Europa League champions. Preference wise, who do you want? But who do you think has the greater legacy managing wise? And who's the greater manager?
If you're looking greater manager, it is Pep Guardiola in my opinion, because I mean, yes, Mourinho has done it in multiple leagues, but so has Pep. But at the end of the day, like what Pep is doing in Man City, yes, he has a lot of help, with all the finances
Erling
and
Haaland
stuff.
helps.
Like, yeah, which obviously helps, but 3 titles in a row, 5 in the last 6 years, it's still no easy task. Like, it's not like they dominated like every year. Like, there were some years where they had to come back and like win the title, which showed like that Pep has the locker room still. Pep's tactics still work. Pep still,
Managing egos.
could manage egos, could motivate his team to still like keep winning the Premier League even after when they've won it so many times recently.
So the argument that people have against that, right? Preference, I prefer Pep style of play. I'm not a Mourinho guy. He coached United. He won us some trophies, but other than that, I've never been a Mourinho guy before and after he joined United. But in terms of legacy wise, what people say this, he won it with Porto. He won it with Roma, the Europa League. Porto Champions League. He's took Roma above the ground. He's obviously took United not to league title winners, but won some trophies. Whereas the other managers after Fergie left didn't win anything. People are saying to swap the teams. Pep won't even get Roma to where they are right now, whereas Mourinho will get City to this spot. And you to that, you say what?
Pep, yeah, because there's like but Pep styles
It's offensive.
is offensive, right? So there's certain people that fit Pep's style, whereas Mourinho could work with Mourinho style, like is more like hustle style, defense style, obviously, like, but yes, of course he prefers players like he wants, proper defenders and all that stuff, but like he could still like make the team work hard because defensively you got to be able to work hard to be successful in my opinion. Like defense is like a lot of hustle for me, right? Like if you're hustling, you always have a chance to be a good defender. So like that's why I feel like in Mourinho's play style, like almost anyone could fit in it as long as he has them, dialed in, right? Whereas Pep's is like very tactical, very, all these movements and all this, like, you gotta have like good ball control. You gotta have no fear playing out of the back, right? Like Ederson is like just dribbling in his own 18 box half the time because like that's Pep's play style, right? That's how he coaches, and that's why he went out to go get Ederson because he couldn't do it with
Joe Hart
Joe Hart
and Claudio Bravo.
and Claudio Bravo, right? So like, so the coaching styles are different because Pep needs players, right, to like fit his coaching style. Mourinho could like mold the team still.
So which is why people say Mourinho's better than Pep though.
Yeah.
Whereas you're saying the opposite in this case. And overall legacy wise.
Overall legacy, like, it's hard for me. It's very hard because like the point I just made obviously does favor Mourinho, right?
Because Pep hasn't done much in Champions except for that 1 year in Barca, I believe.
Yeah, so it's very tough, but coaching style, I would say Pep. Legacy wise, I would probably go with Mourinho.
Okay. Yeah, I think I might have to agree with that just because coaching that Porto team back in the day, even though we didn't really watch much of it, I heard big things about that. He's won it with, he's won stuff with Madrid. He's won stuff with United, not at the Premier League title level, but he's won stuff with Chelsea, so on and so forth, right? Roma, he's helped out. So, yeah, obviously my preference as a manager would have been Pep, but yeah, I guess I tend to agree with you at the end there. Final thing, the Premier League player of the season, not team of the season also, manager of the season and young player of the season award nominees have came out. You'll definitely have a take on the. We both will actually on the manager, but just to start, player of the season, I feel like it's an easy answer, but I'll give you the nominees and just go from there. De Bruyne, Holland, Kane, Odegaard, Rashford, Saka, and Trippier. I mean,
Record-breaking year for goal scoring. It's got to be Erling Haaland. There's no debate.
yeah. Once upon a time, yes, Rashford and Saka made a slight case, but they both kind of fell off a little bit as time went on. And I don't think Kane and De Bruyne will get it. I think Odegaard could be second, and obviously Trippier has a case as well. But I agree, Haaland should be unanimous.
Yeah.
And here's gonna be a funny one. So, young player of the year. It's Saka again, Odegaard, Martinelli, McAllister, Sven Botman, Moises Caicedo, Isak from Newcastle, and Erling Haaland.
He's wait, what?
He's in it for young player again. I guess his age is like 22, I think.
So if he wins Player of the Year, shouldn't he win Young Player of
That's
the
my
Year?
point. That's why I said you're gonna laugh.
Yeah. So
So that's a lock.
so that's a lock as well. Then it's
Yeah.
Erling Haaland. Otherwise, if you were to take Haaland out of it, I would probably go with Bukayo Saka.
Sure, yeah. I tend. I mean, you guys could have an argument with Odegaard as well, but yeah, it probably would be Saka.
Yeah.
I guess the last one, which is we have some slight interest, but maybe not. Manager of the season nominations that I could see the face you're making. So these 6 managers are Mikel Arteta, De Zerbi from Brighton, Unai Emery Villa, Pep Guardiola, Eddie Howe from Newcastle, and Marco Silva from Fulham. There's a certain name that's missing that.
How the hell is Eric Ten Hag not in this? Right? I understand if it's 3 nominees, right? Because like those 3 nominees probably would have been Arteta, it would have been Eddie Howe, and Pep, right? There's 6 nominees. Did anyone see Manchester United last year? Like, soccer's my favorite sport. I couldn't watch that team play. Like, I genuinely couldn't watch that team play last year because they were so bad. And then Eric Ten Hag came in. Yes, first 2 games were horrible, but ever since then, I could watch him play, right? I don't know how. I don't know who's controlling it, but Eric Ten Hag not being on this list is absolute bullshit. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm letting you speak because I literally agree everything you said there. I mean, yeah, everybody on this is sure you could argue ahead of him, not really even, but except Marco Silva. Fulham finished 10th, right? 10th place, and don't get me wrong, that's a good season for Fulham. But if you look at what, like you said, Manchester United did do last year, they were shit. Like they were not watchable. They fell off with Ole and Rangnick eventually. And you bring in a guy from Ajax who people said should have been Pochettino, right? Some pundits and all that stuff. And dude changed the culture. Yes, later on in the year after we won the Carabao Cup, which, by the way, he won a trophy for us.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that counts as the Premier League itself, but yes, we kind of like the lack of depth showed like Arsenal in the title race. But you got Harry Maguire playing okay football. Yes, later on in the year he choked against Sevilla and all that stuff, but you got David De Gea a Golden Glove award the way he plays defense as a team and attacking, right?
Bro,
you got players to believe.
You turned Rashford into like a demigod for that run that Rashford went on after the World Cup.
So, yeah, it's mind-blowing that he's not even on it. Do I think he should have won it? Maybe earlier in the year, right? Ultimately, once we'll make our prediction on who we think deserves and who will win it, he should have been top 3, right? I love Eddie Howe. I love what he's done at Bournemouth before he was let go. I love what he's doing right now in Newcastle with not that great of a roster compared to the other teams around in the Premier League. If you look at that list, sure, City, Arsenal deserve it. Newcastle deserve it. Manchester United is 4th. Even before the year, they thought they were going to be 5th or 6th, right? When Ten Hag made the comment when he was trying to get Frankie de Jong about we're going to be Champions League next year. People are like, nah, you ain't. Liverpool will be ahead of them. Liverpool's behind them, right? Yes, we got our ass kicked by Liverpool. I get that. But we still are ahead of them.
And we still beat them still.
And we beat them once at the beginning of the year, right? Yes, Unai Emery did an amazing job. De Zerbi after Graham Potter, amazing job, right? But Marco Silva? Really? Marco freaking Silva is ahead of Eric Ten Hag, who's 10th place. Yeah, it's mind-blowing. I don't think he was gonna win it. I'll say that out there. I'm not getting pissed off that he should have won it. He would have been a contender. Yes, he had the stretch late where he should have not won. That's the reason why I don't think he'll win. But he should have been a top 6 guy.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Top 4 for sure.
I feel like we've done well to like hold in our rage here a little bit,
yeah. But I guess
like,
we should transition on seeing who's gonna win.
Yeah,
who's gonna win? For me, it's Mikel Arteta.
Is Arteta?
And the reason why I'm saying it's Mikel Arteta, if you look at the expectations, like I was making the argument for Ten Hag to be in this case, City was my Premier League winners from day one, right? To battle City for that spot was Liverpool for me. Obviously, Liverpool had a disappointing year. And then the other team was Chelsea, who had a horrendous year, 2 manager fired. And yeah, so, but with, like you said, the disappointing stat at the end, but holding the league, because if this is truly a Premier League award, then it goes 93% of the time they led. I still think it should have been Mikel Arteta because them and Man United were supposed to battle for 4th, in my opinion, at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I agree with you for sure. For me, yes, Pep won the league, but like Pep's won a lot, right? He's won Coach of the Year before, right? For sure.
I can't say for sure.
Yeah,
but
I'm not
sure.
Yeah, I'm sure Pep won Coach of the Year, or Manager of the Year. What do you want to call it? It's between Mikel Arteta and Eddie Howe for me because like both their teams like from last year to this year, like is one way I'm looking at it is like you've seen improvement, right? Like Arsenal was, at best a top 4 contender last year. This year they became a title contender. Newcastle was mid-table, bottom half.
European.
Bottom half. I don't know where they were last year,
This
but I know they were in Champions League like this. I know they were in Champions League. And the fact that they could finish 3rd place, ahead of Liverpool, ahead of Man United, ahead of Chelsea, ahead of Tottenham, and without even spending too much, because like they have new owners. We're like, oh, they're probably going to spend a lot of money. They haven't. So the improvements that I've seen for both of those teams are reasons why like I would put those as my like top 2 guys for sure.
Yeah. Who do you think will win?
I would give it to Arteta.
Is that your preference as well?
No, I want to see Howe win though.
I guess same. My preference is Howe, but I don't mind Arteta winning it because he was at the top at the top.
Yeah,
that's the only edge I gave. If Arteta was second the whole way, like City was running away with it from day one, then I would have said Eddie Howe. But just because Arsenal fans believing and even like not the rivals scared that they might win it all, there's the only reason why I'm giving it the edge to Arteta here.
Yeah, that's why I'll give it to Arteta as well. That's what I think. I think he should get it. And I think he deserves it as well.
Yeah. So it will be a one heck of a week. We'll find out who gets relegated. We'll find out what the official European contenders for next year. So that's pretty much it, I guess.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. All right. Please like, comment, and subscribe.
Again, follow our socials down below. We will be posting more TikToks, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts. And like you said, please subscribe as we would like to hit 100 subs by the end of this month. Other than that, we'll catch you guys in the next one.
Peace.